I want to talk about the trapped subgenre. How do you make a movie like this? The best way for me is to dissect, analyze, and break down some of the best ones. In this video, I'll be talking about Panic Room, Frozen, Green Room, and Buried, and I'll make reference to a few others. Once you break down the events in each film, you begin to see a pattern, a series of commonalities that exist in every good trapped movie. Creating sympathy. Two easy ways of doing this are with laughter and sadness. Here's a great example from The Green Room.
You know, there's something I never told you.
What?
Even inside a coffin and buried.
4750?
Yeah.
Okay, fuck you.
Frozen does this throughout the first half of the film, and Panic Room, though not as much, still uses laughter.
My room. Definitely my room.
Panic Room also paints a picture of a single mother whose husband recently left her for another woman. The sadness of this, in turn, creates more sympathy as well. The inciting incident. Something happens to place the protagonist in the confined space. Whether it's the ski lift operator forgetting about you and leaving you stranded for dead, terrorists burying you underground, intruders breaking into your house, or neo-Nazis trying to kill you. This seems fairly obvious, but this is a chance for the filmmaker to get really creative. I think Buried, in terms of creativity, really wins here. Here, the inciting incident has political subtext, and using one likable actor in a confined space is easier to create sympathy throughout the film. Exterior danger. The exterior danger is different for each film, but it's always there. Frozen and Buried win in terms of the sheer number of exterior dangers. The skinheads of Green Room and the intruders of Panic Room are arguably just as terrifying, though not as imminent or inevitable as freezing to death, starving to death, or running out of oxygen. The danger within. The danger within is not as obvious as the exterior danger, but it's always there in any good trapped film. No, Ryan Reynolds is not just happy to see us. This is an actual trouser snake, or the danger within. In Green Room, one of the neo-Nazis is literally planted inside the room with them. In Panic Room, the danger within actually comes from the protagonist's daughter and her insulin shock. For another great example of this, think of the crazy religious woman from The Mist, uniting the mob against the protagonist.
Please stand aside.
You can't go out. I won't allow it.
Won't allow it?
It's against God's will.
A shock of violence. Violence is used in all good trapped films as a tool to jar the audience and let us know the severity of the situation. The arm slicing and maiming in Green Room. The brutal execution of Jared Leto's character in Panic Room, and the extremely graphic leg break in Frozen. These are perfect examples of the directors using a shock of violence. The choice to give up. In all these films, there comes a moment when the protagonist has just had enough.
It's over, isn't it?
No.
And they reach the end of what they think they can handle. After a moment of letting out their frustration, this usually leads to number 7. The choice to fight back. Movies like Die Hard and You're Next are trapped films that base the entirety of their runtime on this one rule. The cell phone moment.
I remember reading the script and going and flipping the pages till I got to the part where she goes out after the cell phone and then she tries to find it and she tries to grab it and it slides further into the bed, and I was sitting there going, oh my God, you can't do this. There's no, and then she knocks the lamp over. It's like, no one will sit still for this. And this is one of the things that I think David Koepp is really great at, and he just smiled and he said, you know, if you're gonna make a movie like this, and this is a date movie and it's a Friday night movie, you gotta have her go for the cell phone, and you gotta have her miss it, and it's gotta continue to slide. She's gotta knock over the thing. They gotta hear it, and they gotta run up the stairs.
All good trapped movies have these moments. Whether it's reaching for something and not quite getting it, or slipping and falling at the worst time. Like Fincher says, you have to have these moments. The escape, or lack thereof, seems obvious, but what's important to remember is that the escape must be harrowing. Harrowing is defined as something that is very distressful or painful. Think of John McClane and all the pain and struggling he endured. Compare this to the characters in our examples Green Room and Panic Room, and you can see just how similar these films are. I'm not saying that you need to include all of these things in order to make a good trapped film, but I don't think it's a coincidence that the best ones do.